throw him in to the starting side, but I'd be inclined to actually stick to your guns and keep him in reserve where you've got that broken defence.
Well, isn't it? You're right. They've kind of set it up quite well.
I think that's really it in terms of standout moments for me. I think that Jake Connor try where he picked the Sneed kick out was probably the best try.
Overall summary, then, you think probably an 8-point difference doesn't reflect how much better Cass probably were over the piece than Hull FC in your opinion?
I think it's about right, but I think Cass were probably a little bit better than that, and Hull FC were a little bit worse than that score. So I think, perhaps one try swing either way would probably be the fairer result. But Cass did what they needed to, and Hull FC came short yet again. Where do you stand on this Radford out, Radford in, Radford shake it all about debate?
I don't really care.
I don't think it's going to change the underlying problems they've got.
They are missing a couple of key pieces, like that they don't have in their squad, and then they've got injuries as well that the squad's having to manage. And being without Scott Taylor for 3 games is going to impact them as well, you would expect, because even though it might inspire someone to come in and up their game, I don't necessarily think they've got anyone with the quality to deliver on that.
And it's the load it'll put on the other forwards as well.
Yeah, because you've got to think now.
Yeah, you've got to think now about the balance, because you've got that less interchanges. When you take someone like that out of your side, you're actually increasing the stress and the likelihood of injury onto another forward.
I would say I thought it was an enjoyable game. I enjoyed it.
It was a good Thursday night game to watch that you didn't have to pay too much attention to see things happen. I quite enjoyed it. It wasn't too attritional. It was quite open-ended in that.
Yep.
So I did quite enjoy it. Yeah.
Okay, moving on to Friday night then. It was my Wigan Warriors' first home game of the season. I'm starting the night on -2 points, so it was a big game for Wigan heading into the World Club Challenge as well. It was 22-12 to Wigan at half-time. Maybe force Stuart to Slee a little bit. We'll come to that, I'm sure, in the match reviews. Wigan did then run out, though, 34-16 winners in the end. 11,230. I was disappointed by that. Hopefully another 9,000 or 10,000 will find their way down for the World Club Challenge. Ben Thaler was the referee in this one. In terms of your stats, Wigan won by 6 tries to 3. They were helped by 6 fewer errors and 2 fewer penalties conceded. Leeds, to their credit, made an extra break than Wigan did. They made more than twice as many successful offloads and had big efficiency wins with 1.2 metres per carry better average gain, probably helped by a couple of breakaways by Lola here on that, and 2.5% better team tackle success. Individually, Liam Farrell from Wigan had a try, 11 marker tackles, 7 tackle busts at 141 metres. Gabe Hamlin came off the bench and imposed himself again, 118 metres. Sean O'Loughlin had a good hand in this game, 1 try assist and 112 metres to boot in that. George Williams, maybe the star of the show, certainly the man who picked up all the plaudits from the more qualified observers than us, handing out the points. He had a try, 2 try assists, 6 tackle busts and 2 clean breaks. For the Leeds Rhinos, Tumiola Lola here had 2 try assists, 119 metres and 2 clean breaks, but was caught on both. Trent Merrin with 108 metres and 3 successful offloads, so maybe a couple of the signings starting to show something, if not everything, that the Leeds Rhinos fans want out of them. Ash Hanley with a try and 107 metres, and then that third big signing, Conrad Hurrell, 5 tackle busts and 103 metres. Do you want to give the first fan review?
Yeah, so of course the first one came in from Carlston yet again. That game was shit defence by both sides and so many coach killers that I stopped counting. The Leeds centres had 1 highlight each and the rest was shit again. I hope the Roosters are in pre-season mode or Wigan gets slaughtered. Did I mention the defence was shit?
I certainly think Wigan's defence started slowly like they did last week. All their missed tackles on the Brett Ferris try when Tom Briscoe came bouncing off the wing. That was fucking hideous defence, to be polite about it, to be honest. But Wigan's defence improved after that point. I think we need to stop missing tackles in the first 15 minutes, first 15 or 20 minutes, and then maybe, defend the way for 80 minutes that we are doing for the last 60 of the game. Fatboy Rob said, cheats beat chumps. Don't know what he's on about.
No, Dr. Bob Phillips says, we nearly won twice. Hashtag comeback carries on
I
here.
similarly don't know what he's on about. Tom Eckley says, this game taught me that if there's one thing that's going to comfort me for the season ahead, it's that the Warrington Wolves Award for the worst signing will be on its way to the Leeds Riders this year, and that is far more important than winning one of those pesky finals we like to bottle.
Loro2108 says, please explain to me in very basic terms why Morgan Escaray is not playing. It's a good question, Mark.
Basic terms, Zach Hardacre is a less quality human being, but a greater quality rugby league fullback. Simple. Is that simple? That's simple. That's basic.
It's simple.
Yeah. Just like last year, Sam Tompkins was. There's an angst around Wigan about Morgan Escaray, though, because we like him. He's a nice lad, and he excites us because he runs fast. So a lot of us want to see him at least on the bench and do the role he was doing last year. Finding a way to do that with less interchanges might be tough. Dan Sargentson's potential.
I think we could well move towards an all forward dominated benches more often. I think there's less interchanges. You're going to see less of the hooker or utility back on the bench.
I think until forwards are able to play longer minutes consistently, we'll see that. But then once forwards are better conditioned, coaches will want to have something that is a difference maker still. So I think there's a period of time settling in yet, isn't there? But Morgan Escaray might get a go in the World Club Challenge because Dan Sargentson's injury situation is a little bit up in the air with the leg injury he picked up in the game. So that might see Hardacre go to centre and Escaray go to fullback, potentially.
Yeah, it's where he started his career, of course, Hardacre, so he's definitely got experience in that position.
Malcolm Matias said, no criticism of Wigan or Leeds, but less than 12,000 speckies on for two big clubs is a bad karma sign. Too many repeat fixtures already. All right game, though. I don't know why. I don't know why, Malcolm. I'm not sure why less people weren't there, but I know that the Wigan club is working on it.
Genghis Campbell says, hi, how come you can't get over 11,000 Wiganers to the DW Stadium on a Friday night? Lolo Heya was far less fat than I expected, and the most influential Wigan player was Ben Failer. I'm no expert, but I think Richie Myler isn't very good. I have a sneaking suspicion that the silver platter George Williams got for man of the match is actually pewter. And why does Phil Clark wear a sweater under his jacket? Because it's cold.
He's not as equipped for the cold as you are, Genghis.
To be fair, Mr. Clark hasn't got much body fat on him these days, so he's probably just to keep himself warm.
Yeah. At M9UHL. New one on us, so thanks for getting in touch. I'm not blaming one person, but for the past...
But you are.
I'm not blaming one person, but for the past two seasons, our lack of attack is poor and useless. Look only at the Wire game, one man down, and they're in their tent, and nothing, if anything, we ended up defending our own line. I blame Myler. My dad thinks I'm a broken record, but I think it's the other way. Everyone's giving him excuses. He doesn't have a big enough pack. Right, give him the pack. He's still not got much of an idea of the same. I think his kicking game was atrocious in this gun. Apart from the first one, he managed to pinpoint Tom Davies with Conrad Hurrell running down him. But Myler set up a lot of tries for Leeds last year. I think some slack has to be cut from that point of view in terms of he can't lack creativity that much if he created so many of their tries last time around. But yeah, he hasn't started this season. It's like a level up, has he? Which he needed to do probably.
Yeah, and we need him still involved so that his wife can front the 2021 coverage, if nothing else.
Yeah.
Anyway, moving on, Tom Andrews says the first half in particular seemed less of a game of rugby but more a competition between Ben Failer and the Sky commentary team of who could crawl furthest up Wigan's arse. As for Leeds, they looked clueless. The halves had no idea. Merrin is as much of a myth as Holes Matongo. Watkins doesn't look fit. Only players who look interested, Hurrell and Dono. Hopefully Leeds can play Hull soon to get off the goose egg.
That's a funny one. Phil Nadin. Wigan are now gelling together and looking stronger than last week. Still not perfect, but can only see them growing in strength. Leeds are still lacking in overall gameplay. They did show touches of brilliance, but have a long way to go.
Cutthroat Jake, well, that was better than last week. Whilst Wigan were deserved winners, Leeds were unlucky to lose by such a margin. Every team gets games when they don't get the rub of the green. This was ours. The team looked like they'll be a handful when they managed to gel with Merrin's offloads, Petteru's hard running, and the incessant probing from Walker. Our highlight was Hurrell's tackle on Hardacre. What a monster hit.
Yeah, the Leeds fans that were there certainly enjoyed that one. We did hear them at that point. Petteru was decent, I thought. Rich Wilkinson said, Leeds were shocking, but an improvement on last week. Too much drop ball and defensive lapses. Myler kicking out twice on the full in good attacking position summed it up. Too many players not delivering. What's happened to Lola Here's speed? He was lightning a few years ago. I don't know if you saw at half-time. When I watched the game back, when I got in from being at the game, he was getting what looked like a very, very deep tissue massage on his upper leg. So I don't know if there's like a little bit of an injury issue there or fitness issue there. Want to see.
Possibly, I didn't see it, but yeah, I imagine that possibly. It could well be just a general massage at half time, but you don't know.
Yeah.
Where have we got to?
John Hamilton.
Yes, John Hamilton says Wigan the better team, but a couple of passes kept hold of, and a ref decision going the other way would have had this much more interesting. Some encouraging phases, and improvements on last week with brighter performances from most, but critical mistakes, questionable decision making, the slowest half in the comp, and some gaping defensive line gaps in the second half still demonstrated the work needing to be done.
Paul Chamberlain said, our Leeds the new Hull. Proof positive that if you take a shit team and sprinkle a few NRL rejects, you just get a turd with hundreds and thousands. Leeds half-back pairing was awful, and whilst decent, Hurrell already looks a marquee sick note and fat bastard. I assume Ferris has been dumped due to his weight loss, so his teammates will want to keep tabs at home. Looked a nice bit of eye work on a lead ski. That's an interesting one because Allegedly got cited by Sam Powell for biting him. So what I thought happened there wasn't eyes; it was Sam Powell putting his hand in Allegedly's mouth, and nothing's come of it in the post game stuff. No. So fair dues, I think there.
And finally, Jen K says, "Great to be back at the DW. Both teams sloppy in defence. You can tell it's early in the season. Highlight was Bullock's debut and seeing Williams put those Leeds players on their backs with his try. Greenwood, another standout for me. Love seeing Hardacre in a Wigan kit. He was amazing, but he's got even more to give. I think Leeds look exactly as they did last season, but then they have time to put it right." Jen K, is that the name of like someone who's really, really old? If we got like Gen Y.
I'm not sure, but some interesting views all around there. Can I just touch on this Leeds being unlucky situation in the scoreline and stuff? I agree that at half-time Wigan had certainly one very clear bounce of the ball their way. The Liam Farrell knock-on that wasn't given, wasn't seen by the match officials, and Wigan scored on the very next play. There was the marginal forward pass call that came from the sidelines. Now, live, our stand all went up for it. So, Leeds need to take the rough with the smooth and think how many times the South stand have had non-forward passes or flat passes or marginal forward passes go in their favour and realise that, they come and go. And then you had a whole set to defend before, from Wigan's half. So that one you can wind your necks in about a bit, I think. But definitely probably Wigan were one try ahead than they should have been in that first half. But in the second half, Wigan threw away some chances to have padded that scoreline even bigger. So I think the scoreline was a fair reflection of Wigan being definitely the better team over the 80 minutes, and I don't think any Leeds fans disagree with that in reality. So that's my bit on that. Star players, Tim. A couple of men who made the stats roundup for Wigan are the ones to pull out of stars, I think. Sean O'Loughlin, I thought he was exceptional. And George Williams. In Williams' case, he probably made the wrong call on 2 or 3 occasions that cost Wigan even more scores. One in particular, I think early in the second half, where he kicked it through, trying to kick it between 2 Leeds defenders, when he actually had space opened up for him if he'd ran towards the sticks to go in himself. He still forced a goal line dropout from the kick, but I think he could have done even more. He could have scored a try. But his short kicking game was top notch. He showed a range of skills, didn't he? Really, the assist for Sargentson with the floated aerial kick, and then the one for Greenwood, which was a very nicely weighted. We talked
that
about
was
Paul
probably
McShane
my
last
favourite
week. With weighted kicks and stuff.